You're listening to Sensitive Changemakers. This podcast is created for highly sensitive leaders and is designed to support you to embrace your strengths and gifts so you can feel more confident in your own mind and body and live a life with intention, purpose, and more importantly, joy. I'm your host, Kate Carter, a fellow HSP who has a BA Honours degree in education, is a fully trained and qualified professional coach and NLP practitioner, and has over 17 years of teaching and over 3 years of coaching experience supporting highly sensitive people. I believe that you can do anything you want to in this life, but that sometimes the path forward becomes muddy with self-doubt and fear of failure. It's my mission to help sensitive thought leaders peel away the self-doubt and stories holding them back, for them to see their own beauty and strength so they can increase self-confidence and self-trust through thought and embodiment work and see their path clearly and move forward confidently, living their life with intention and purpose. I would love for you to come and join us. Hello and welcome to Sensitive Changemakers. I hope, as always, this episode finds you well. This one is going to be a little bit different. I am recording this on Friday the 5th of July, and it's not going to be coming out until the 15th of July. And the reason I'm doing it now is because I'm going to go on holiday. Now, last year we went for our first abroad holiday with our 2 children to Corfu, which was an amazing experience. This year we are going back to the Isle of Wight. It's like our soul home, if you like. We love the Isle of Wight. It just feels so very relaxing and calming there. And because it's such a small island, you can really go to so many different beaches and just do so much there. So we're going to be doing that. And so I wanted to get this episode sorted for you. I wanted to do something a little bit different as well. I want to do kind of the behind the scenes. I've never done one of these before, really, in this kind of context. I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on for me, for no other reason other than just to kind of normalize the highs and lows of life. And, you know, often through this podcast, you will hear the best side of me in terms of positivity and in terms of what's going on and how I'm listening to other people. And today I really just kind of want to break that down as to, you know, the other stuff that goes on as well, just to kind of normalize those highs and lows. I also want to talk about business behind the scenes, what's been going on, what's coming up. And if you have any questions or any queries, please do reach out and ask, and I would be more than happy to answer them. So let's talk a little bit about the highs and lows of life generally. You know, it's great when things are going well, but as we know, that isn't always the case. We do have those lows as well, and I would argue that they do make the highs even better, even though they can be really difficult to navigate. And I'm also a true believer that those things that we do kind of navigate, we learn so much from, and they do help us to grow if we allow them to. And that has generally been what I've been going through. So a lot of you know that I had the diagnosis of ME. To be honest, I'm still dubious as to whether that is the case. It feels like a label that they have stuck on me because they're not quite sure what's going on. So I'm not going to get into all of the details here, but basically my bloods are showing slight inflammation, not huge amounts, but slight inflammation to show that, you know, my body's not overly happy with something, but we just can't find out why. And so, like I said, just being given that label of ME and just in the nicest possible way told to manage my symptoms. So I started going down the more holistic route, looking at including more somatic practices into my routine, and I already did quite a few anyway, so adding more of those in there, looking at supplements, looking at where my body was needing vitamins and minerals that maybe it wasn't getting from my food, and obviously food was always my first port of call, because that, you know, it's so important. You are what you eat. So looking at what I could do there to increase my mineral and vitamin uptake, and then anything that I wasn't getting from there, how could I supplement that? And that is working generally quite well. The last couple of months, I'd say 3 to 4 months, have probably been the best and healthiest I've felt in a long time. So that is helping, that is working. I'm so grateful. I have managed to start going to the gym again. Again, I started about, I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago. I just started off with going once a week just to see how that affected my energy levels, how that affected my health, and then upping that to two. Now it's three, so I'm doing 3 times a week, which at the moment is fine. It seems to be my happy balance, should I say. I would love to increase it to four in the future, but we're going to stick with three at the moment. And I'm really focusing on just lifting weights at the moment. Cardio, I'm just focusing on walking. I'm not doing anything else in terms of cardio. And then lifting weights, really focusing on doing the same exercises and increasing the reps, increasing the weight. Um, just from the research that I've done, that's so important for women over the age of 40. And I will just add here, I'm not a nutritionist, not any way, shape, or form, but this is just my personal research and what I've done into it. Please feel free to go and do your own research, putting that out there as well. But that is what I've found, and that's what I'm doing just to kind of help myself. So that's been all really, really positive things. The one side of things that has been quite low has been this constant eye twitch. And it sounds so silly as I've been saying it. And to be honest, to start off with it, it didn't bother me. It was like, oh, it's just one of those annoying spasms, isn't it? But it's been going on for so long now. And there are times when it doesn't stop at night time. So before it was one of those things, as soon as I closed my eyes and relax, it would stop and I would go to sleep and it wouldn't be a problem. Then it became an issue where it wasn't stopping at night time. Or when I was closing my eyes, it wasn't stopping, which was stopping me from sleeping, which obviously was making the twitching worse. And then it became every day. Some days are better than others. So today, touch wood, is not a bad day. It's only twitched a couple of times. Yesterday was crazy. It was twitching for most of the day. So it's got to the stage where it's got me, slightly concerned. And so I did go to the opticians or the health doctor, the eye doctor last Friday. He had no concerns at all. Looked at the back of my eye, looked at the front of my eye, just checked generally very, very quickly and was happy with everything he saw. Told me, this thing is probably going to go away as quickly as it has arrived. It's just intriguing for me. And I know as a highly sensitive person, I do think too deeply sometimes, and I do get in my own head. And that is definitely what's been going on these last few months with this. So I know that I'm thinking, okay, so I've got inflammation in my blood and my eyes twitching. Are the two things linked? Is my body holding more stress than my mind is aware of? Those sort of questions. And so again, my anxiety levels have actually been quite, I wouldn't say high, but they've been relatively raised in comparison to what they have been before. And it's been a bit strange to navigate those feelings again because I have generally, for the last sort of nearly 7, 8 years, been almost anxiety free. And I say almost because anxiety is a normal way of being. It's a normal part of being a human being. We all have anxiety from time to time. But that consistent anxiety where I was experiencing it every day was definitely or hasn't been a part of my life at all. I'm really grateful. I still haven't had any panic attacks, so that's great. But the anxiety has been heightened. And like I said, it's been really difficult to navigate that because what happens when I get anxious is I turn inward even more and I go into my own headspace and I almost become disconnected from the world around me. And so it has affected other parts of my life. It's affected the relationship I have with my family. It's affected how much I show up online, being visible and things like that. I just haven't been doing those things as much because it's exhausting when you have, and anybody who has had anxiety can relate to this, that constant thinking, that constant ruminating over and over again. It is exhausting, mentally exhausting. And so add on to that the fact that my sleep hasn't been great because of the eye twitching. It's been a really kind of tough couple of months just to kind of navigate. And again, in the grand scheme of things, not a huge deal, but just something, those highs and lows just to navigate through. I have been upping my somatic practices, like I said. So for me, this is just moving. For me, anyway, just moving in a way that feels really good for my body. It might be doing like a variation of cat cows. So sometimes, if you know the yoga cat cows, sometimes doing that and just kind of moving my hips around really helps. Um, Stretching has been really good as well. Doing pigeon pose, which again, if you're aware of it in yoga, is something that I find really easy to do because I have got hypermobility in my hips. So I just have to be careful, but it's a stretch that I really enjoy because I can feel the stretch. Um, but I really enjoy that one. So just kind of playing around with what felt good for my body has really helped. I've been doing some vagus nerve stimulation as well, which has been one of those things that has been a compound effect, similar to when I practice meditation. It's not necessarily like one session of it is amazing and I feel so much better, but I've noticed the compound effect if I do it regularly. So that's been interesting. And then the other thing that I've been practicing this time round that's really supported me is obviously my meditation. I do love that, but tapping. And if you know anything about EFT, you kind of use the tips of your fingers and you tap in different places in your body. And I've always found, that's okay. But somebody told me last week that sometimes they just tap with their whole hand rather than just the tips of their fingers. And I did this on my top of my chest. Because that's where I've always enjoyed that feeling anyway. You always get some part of you where you enjoy it more. And I've been using it with my whole hand and kind of tapping there with, as I said, with my whole hand. And that increased contact has really been supportive. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody, and I realize that I've adapted the original EFT tapping techniques, but that has been really supportive with some deep breathing at the same time. So, really, some deep belly breathing with the tapping at the same time, with just focusing on grounded. So, one of the things that I realized that I'd lost over the last couple of months was this feeling of groundedness, like this feeling of, if you want a better description, a feeling of inner warmth that made me and helped me to feel safe and protected. That had felt like an inner rope inside of me, if you like, that I could hold on to in times when I felt a little bit wobbly. And it was always there, and I could always grab that rope, and I always felt secure. And that's what has really grounded me over the last 7 years. And the last few months, it felt like that rope wasn't quite secure. It's felt a bit wobbly. I felt like I couldn't grasp onto it. I'd lost that kind of groundedness. And so, really practicing that again and tapping into that warmth, tapping into that safety. And again, that looks different for everybody. That's just what comes up in my mind when I visualize that safety and that groundedness. But that is so vital when you are working with feeling anxious, when you're feeling worried, when you have those doubts. So working on that through tapping, through those deep breathing, through somatic practices, through that vagus nerve stimulation has really kind of supported me in feeling grounded again. And add on to that just the thought processes, just shifting your thought patterns from this is worst case scenario thought patterns to I'm okay. Evidence shows me I've been here before. This has been okay. So kind of just shifting the thought patterns as well with all of those other techniques has really supported me and feeling okay again at the moment. Knowing that I'm riding a wave and it's going to be absolutely fine. So that's just kind of where I am on a very personal level. And if you want any more information about that, what I am thinking of doing is creating a masterclass around some of these techniques that I've been using. And I think it's really important to hear it from somebody who is anxious, who has been there, who knows what it feels like, and also somebody who is highly sensitive, who really does understand how we do get caught in our own thought patterns, how we do probably get in our own head sometimes, and how we can navigate through that when these things happen. So keep your ears open for that one. I'll let you know when that one's ready. So that's kind of personal. Moving on to kind of business. So as I said, creating that masterclass, I think is going to be one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the very near future. But I'm also finishing off an anxiety course that I'm doing, that I'm writing. So I've got the bare bones of it. There's 7 modules. I have written 5 of them so far. So I'm just over halfway through. I am writing PDFs for each of them. And I'm going to be doing a video for each one as well. And I'm unsure at the moment, to be completely transparent with you, whether I'm going to make it self-led or whether I'm going to make it more of a hybrid, where it's maybe you can watch the videos and then there's some one-on-one sessions as well, because that feels probably better to me to have that one-on-one support with somebody as they're navigating through the course. So that's definitely one of my big aims for this year, aiming to have that out in the start of autumn. And the other thing that I really just want to talk about are my client calls. So I've been incredibly lucky that throughout this time when I felt like I've needed to strengthen that inner safety within me, I haven't struggled client-wise. And I've had some amazing client calls. I have recently finished up with two amazing clients, and their feedback really touched me because it's, as a human, as somebody who's highly sensitive, you always want to make sure, and I'm sure you can resonate with this, you always want to make sure you're doing the best job possible. You always want to make sure that the people that come to you for support are getting something they really need from you, that they can build those foundations so that they can then go away and carry on that journey for themselves. They feel empowered and strong enough to do the next part, and to grow in their own way and to really believe in themselves while they're doing that. And so I just wanted to share with you some of the feedback. So one of the ladies commented, so she emailed me after we finished. She said, "Thank you so much, really enjoyed the sessions. My family have been able to see the positive difference in both my thoughts and attitudes." So that was so lovely to hear. And I won't go into the details of each client because obviously I really want to protect my client's confidentiality, but that was such lovely feedback to get from that particular lady, knowing how tough some of the sessions were. And then the second client, she responded with, "I've learned so much about myself and how I see myself and how I've allowed other people to treat me." That was a big thing for her, and I'm not sharing anything that she hasn't already shared on social media about our time together. So that was such wonderful feedback to get, because number one, it just feels, from a really selfish point of view, it just feels really good to know that I'm doing a good job. But also it feels really good to have empowered those people to go away and build on what they've learned about themselves and to grow even more. So I wanted to share those with you because I think sometimes I don't do that enough, and I wanted to kind of just put that out into the world. For me, these two clients that I finished up with really highlight how it is all about taking back your control and you choosing how you want your future to look, rather than feeling like it's being dictated to you by external factors. I think when I saw the feedback from those two people, those were the things that really spoke to me, because I thought, yes, that is the crux of how I feel generally about life, but also how I approach all of my sessions is very much, let's take that control back. Let's look at how you choose to see your future, how you want to move forward. And so that's sort of kind of summed it up for me. So that's kind of an overview on what's been going on for me, both personally and also professionally in the business. And I would love to hear how you're going, how you're feeling, what's been going on for you. Have you been having some highs or some lows? And as always, if you have any questions or you would like to know what a session with me would look like, you can book in a connect and chat. They're completely free, 30 minutes for us to just kind of talk over how I work. There is also a link in the show notes to have a look at the services that I provide, so you can see if you're ready and think, actually, yes, I've been listening to Kate for a while, I really do want a session with her. You can have a look there at the different sessions that I provide. Please do ask away if you've got any questions, and I will be back next week with another episode. I'm sending you so much love. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you have any takeaways or any questions, please do reach out to me either through Instagram, LinkedIn or Facebook at Kate Carter Coaching, or you can email me at kate@katecarter.co.uk. I always love to hear your feedback and the things that you have taken from the podcast. If you know of any other highly sensitive people, then please do share this so that I can reach more and support more highly sensitive people to embrace their strengths and gifts. As a thank you, I will pick a winner every month for a free 50-minute coaching session with me. Thank you so much.